That's my secret, cat. I'm always angry.
Alright. I ran out of patience. On the roost!
Hey everyone, Captain, big fan of Spider-Man.
Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, Peter.
Hello, and welcome back to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, an MCU fan podcast. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me today is no one. Matt is currently working on unpacking his new house, unpacking his stuff. He is moving, so he's going through that right now. I tried to get Jack on. He was busy. Logan was busy. So I just went ahead and decided to record this one by myself. We're talking episode 3, Echoes, directed by Bert and Bertie, written by Katie Mathewson and Tanner Bean, released December 1st, 2021. My wife and also my sister's birthday. So both of them had a birthday this past Wednesday. My wife and I, sat down and watched this kind of late because we were doing other things for her birthday at first. So it was a interesting time. I really just wanted to come home and watch this, but then, it's her birthday. So we're like, oh, we got dinner and we were, doing other things. So finally, when I got down to watch this, it was like 9 or 10 p.m. after I got home from work and, had dinner and everything. So this was good, though. This is probably just general thoughts here. Well, let me give you the synopsis here. After escaping a new threat, Clint and Kate join forces against an expanding criminal conspiracy. This was, I think, probably so far my favorite episode of the show. I love the way it started with, which we'll get into a little bit more here, with Echo, Maya Lopez, showing her background, if there's a common theme here, episode 1 starts with Kate's background. Episode 2 just kind of picks up from there, but then episode 3 here, starting with the background of another character, and I kind of like, being filled in on their past and actually seeing it instead of them just telling us later. I also just think this was it had some really great action sequences that we'll dig into in a little bit, and it was just a lot of fun. I mean, this was kind of what we expected. And the chemistry between Haley Steinfeld and Jeremy Renner is just off the charts. And having both of them, team up and everything has been wonderful. And that's kind of what I wanted. So, now that we're already actually halfway through the series at this point, which is amazing, that we're halfway through the series. But, yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes from there. I mean, I can't believe we're already halfway done here. So I guess let's dig a little bit deeper into the actual show. So we start off with 2007. Maya Lopez is a child. As we see, she is missing kind of like from below the knee to her feet, somewhere around there, that she is missing some there. I'm not really sure what happened to her there, and I'm not too familiar with her from the comics to know, but just interesting what she's gone through. She's also, is deaf, so that has been a problem for her as well growing up, it seems. And her just kind of putting that aside and being able to, do what she does here, and learn the martial arts and fight, and being trained to fight has been really interesting, how she's been able to overcome that. And we see as it kind of, her dad gives her a nice little pep talk, and Also mentions her uncle. And her uncle, we do see like his hand, right? And his sleeve. And I don't know, it looks a lot like a certain character that I'm thinking we're going to see here, coming up here. Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin character. You know, the black suit, the hand, I don't know, it just looked like Vincent D'Onofrio's. It seemed like a tall guy, kind of a heavier guy, like Kingpin is. So that's what it kind of seemed to me. We'll see where that goes from there. You know, like I talked about last week, Maya Lopez does have a connection to Kingpin, so that would make sense. It makes sense. There's been rumors. Vincent D'Onofrio, like I said, also retweeted one of the trailers for the show and said, I love these Marvel shows. And he hasn't done that for any other one that he wasn't in. So we'll see what that means. Then we go to the time where Ronan is operating during the blip and, or during this, the period where everybody's gone, and Echo comes back to the, hideout that they're in and sees Ronan killing their men, and she sees her father get killed, and, she goes over and, he says some final words to her, and he doesn't last much longer, and he's down, he's out. And this has caused, now we know, Echo is so, like, why she's after Ronan. Right. She has personal beef with Ronan. It's not just, he caused some issues with the Tracksuit Mafia. It is, he killed my father. And I think that puts us in a very interesting spot, because right now Maya Lopez is starting off as an antagonist. And like I said before, she does eventually join the Avengers. She, in comics and stuff. So we'll see where they take her character in the MCU instead. But, so her kind of starting off with having this beef with Ronan, who nobody knows in the world of the MCU is also Clint Barton. The guy I feel like everybody makes fun of. Oh, what's his superpower? Shooting bow and arrow? Why is he there when we have all these superpowered people here? And people say, he's not usually people's favorite Avengers. I think you have the guy at the urinal in episode 1 and Kate Bishop that so far have claimed that he is their favorite. I'm not sure there's many other people out there that they're his favorite. And I guess one way to also test this is, how many people that are MCU fans have Hawkeye as their favorite? It'd be interesting to get some numbers on that. It feels like everybody is either, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man when you're talking about favorites, and then you have the occasional Hawk fan. Maybe a Black Widow fan, if we're talking about some of the, and then you have like the Black Panther fans now, and Jack, who is a Doctor Strange and Ant-Man fan. So it is interesting, how this is going. So I could see the truth that he's not most people's favorite. So most people probably think of him as just a tame guy that can shoot a bow and arrow, and aren't thinking of him as Ronan, deadly assassin with swords, I guess you could usually maybe think of like, okay, the guy that uses bow and arrow might be the guy using the swords, right? Like he likes these old time weapons, but nobody's putting that together. Everybody thinks Ronan is somebody else, right? So we kind of get back into our normal time frame. Clint is telling Kate that, he had it under control and everything was fine until she dropped down, and she didn't realize that. She thought, she was saving him. She made it worse. But we get this interrogation here where, Maya Lopez comes over and is going to sign, and she has the interpreter interpreting to Clint and Kate. They want to know about Ronan, and Clint comes out and says, Kate's not Ronan. She found the suit at the auction. She put it on, and, that was that. She has no idea who Ronan is. And I think this is interesting, and I think they do buy it. I do think the Tracksuit Mafia and Maya Lopez probably buy that it's not Kate who is Ronan. But then they want to know who Ronan is. And, Clint's going to say that Ronan is dead and that Black Widow killed Ronan. And I thought this was very interesting. Because it's partly true. And I would say it's true, taking a word from, a phrase from Obi-Wan, from a certain point of view. And that certain point of view is that without Nat going to Clint in Endgame and never giving up on Clint, I think I mentioned it last week, but we've had scenes in Endgame in that 5-year jump where like Rhodey and I think Captain Marvel like says good luck to Rhodey to say like what he's about to talk to her about. And he's saying, Clint has kind of lost it, right? Clint is doing some very bad things. And when we see him, we do see him killing people and wanting to know why Thanos, why his family left in Thanos' snap, but some of these bad people are still around. And that's a genuine question for Clint to have. And I think what we get from that is, Nat never giving up on hope. Rhodey telling her pretty much like, forget it. She knows she could get Clint back. And she goes back and she tells Clint, and he says the whole, don't give me hope. But it's her pulling him back from that. And it's her bringing him back into the fold and saying, I can help get you your kids back. And they have this plan. And the plan works. And they go to Vormir. And he is willing to sacrifice himself to bring his kids back and his wife back. And to let Nat continue having a life. But she is the one that's going to sacrifice her life for him to get back to his family. And that's what kills Ronan. That's why he puts the suit away, right? If this plan didn't work, he probably still goes around as Ronan killing people. But the fact that Nat gets this plan going, she's going to sacrifice herself for the Soul Stone, so that way they can defeat Thanos. He can go back to his kids. That's what allows him to put Ronan in the past and have him go back forward as Hawkeye, retire after these battles. Have that family life. I thought that was interesting. Not to go too far off the path here, but I can see where Clint's coming from here. Ronan is dead. He is. I'm not coming back as Ronan, is his thought, right? I want the suit to get put away or destroyed so that way other people don't find it. And that way other people don't have his enemies come after him. He wants it to be done. He's putting that past behind him. And I thought that was just very interesting how how he worded that. Now, Maya Lopez and the Tracksuit Mafia don't really buy this. They say, oh, how convenient it is for the person that killed Ronan is now also dead. And I get your point too. It would be like if you had like an alibi for something and you tell, the judge, well, I was with my friend, Jake, and he was, over my house with me that night. Okay, yeah, let's get Jake in here to corroborate that. Well, he's dead also now. He got in a car crash the next day. Like, that's kind of what it seems like to the Tracksuit Mafia. And they're like, really? Like, we can't corroborate any of this. So, Clint, during this whole time, also gets himself free. He's going to fend off the Tracksuit Mafia. He does get his hearing aid broken. He loses it. Maya Lopez steps on it. It's broken. He does scoop it up, though, at a certain point. But then he goes into the little office where they have his bow and arrow stored. He's going to get that. And he does this great move where he's going to jump like over the railing. And he does like this spin move, shoots an arrow, and it gets right in the restraint, that was tied for Kate, and it breaks her free. And it was just a really cool shot, I thought. Not just like a shot like he's shooting an arrow, but I mean like a camera shot. It was like a really cool shot. And then it, starts getting Kate free. The pair is going to escape. They're going to get into a car. I also like to see, this is the scene that was in that this was the scene that was in that Disney Plus thing for Disney Plus Day. For the where it shows the 14-minute video, it had like this scene here where they're leaving, they're getting into a car. She wants to take the nicer car, and Clint's like, I'm not beating up or breaking that car to get out of here. Like, that's a nice car. We're going to leave it. We're going to take this crappy car. We're going to get going. And this is just a great action scene of he wants Kate to drive so he can shoot the arrows, but he can't really hear what she's saying because he doesn't have the hearing aid in. And, the tracksuit mafia starts coming out, so they just have to go. And they just start taking off, and they have the trucks following them. And, he's giving her arrows. He's like, not these arrows. These were more dangerous. Give you these arrows that are, trick arrows, but not as bad trick arrows. And you get like a Play-Doh one, I think they said, where like it has like the goo or Play-Doh start covering the windshield. We have the ones that are able to melt through the stoplight wires and drop the lights down, so that way people are not going through the lights. Had one like blow up, right? And of course, at the end of this whole thing, when they're on the bridge, we get this really cool arrow where he's like, here's a normal arrow, just shoot this up. And he's going to hit it with a PIM, like a PIM Tech arrow. And it makes the arrow super large, and it's going to fall and, stop the tracksuit mafia from following him. I thought that was just a really cool scene and really cool use of that. And I want to get Jack's thoughts on this at some point, because I feel like he's living the best life right now. I mean, Ant-Man and Doctor Strange are everywhere. Doctor Strange had a really great episode in What If. I feel like a lot of the stuff in What If, we got to see a lot of the Ant-Man family. The zombie episode having Hope Van Dyne as a leader. You had Hank Pym being evil in the one where, the Avengers are murdered. We've had, Doctor Strange is going to be in Spider-Man. We're getting Multiverse of Madness next year. Like, I feel like we're getting a lot of Doctor Strange and Ant-Man right now. You got this Pym arrow. So that was very interesting to me. And I think it's great that we're starting to see some more of that. But then we also get the suction cup arrow that, Kate thinks is worthless, but he's going to use that to like hang on to like the subway as they get into the subway here and escape. So I thought that was also really cool. And it just has made like, I like focusing on Hawkeye for this. We have not seen him a lot. We saw him in a small scene in Thor. We saw him in Avengers, but in that he was mostly hypnotized and working for Loki till the last battle. We had him in Age of Ultron. He had his whole family thing. That's where we're introduced to the family. Civil War, he was barely in. I mean, really, he, again, joined kind of late. And then Endgame. He wasn't in Infinity War, so he's in Endgame. Really 5 appearances, I think, is all we have of him. So kind of being able to delve into that character more and getting to see him do some really cool things that we didn't get to see in the movies, to say, hey, this is why he's on the Avengers. He's got these trick arrows. He's also a really good shot. We've seen with the Ronin stuff that he can also do hand-to-hand with melees. So it's nice to see why, why he's part of the Avengers. So they go ahead and we have Kazi. He's the one that was interpreting. Again, tells Maya not to get in trouble with her uncle. So again, I think we're being introduced to the uncle, and I think we might see the uncle next week, or this upcoming week, I guess. Episodes 4 or 5, right? There's only 6, but I think if we're going to have the uncle be like one of the main bad guys in the series, we have to have that introduced by episode 4, so that way we have 4, 5, 6 dealing with that. So they want to learn more about the Tracksuit Mafia as well as Jack Duquesne. So Bishop, Kate, and Clint are going to go into her mom's penthouse and use her company account to go through their Bishop security criminal database. Kate has been using the Bishop security database for like everything. I think that's how she found out where Armand lived. She looked up a few things on there previously. But then she gets locked out of the system when she's trying to bypass the security. And I think maybe this means somebody is on to Kate doing this. And I think at the end here, we're led to believe it's Jack. As, Clinton's walking around. And we get Ronan's sword being held up to Ronan here. We get, the sword being held up to Clint, and that's where the episode ended. So it's very interesting to see where they go from here, because I am still very much leaning towards Jack being a good guy. Maybe not the best guy, but not the bad guy. I really think Kate's mom, Eleanor, is really the one to be careful about. And the reason I say that is because Armand tells Jack he's worried about, Eleanor having a bad influence on him. Now, of course, Kate sees this and thinks Jack's the bad influence on her mom because I guess, I don't know, she never really thought much of her mom, right? She was more of a daddy's girl at the beginning, and she had a strained relationship with her mom. I'm guessing she doesn't think her mom is able to do anything as evil as what she can, I guess, think Jack, who she sees as somebody trying to replace her dad, maybe, as doing. So it's kind of got this conflicting feelings that Kate is having towards this situation. But I really think Jack is, well, one, I think the person that acts as Jack is just doing a super good job right now, because he is so charming. So charming. One thing we didn't even talk about either, though, in regards to this, and also just to note, Jack Duquesne is a comic book character. His first appearance was in Avengers Volume 1, number 19, which was August of 1965. And we didn't get to talk about this last week, but he is Swordsman. So that is why he's so in about swords, right? He's a comic book character named Swordsman. He once met a young Clint Barton in the comics, and they trained, and he's one of the people that trained Clint in the comics in both swords and archery, which we know in the MCU he is very good at. He's kind of like a he's not like a bad guy at times. Sometimes he's a bad guy, sometimes he's a good guy. Let's say that. Like, there's times where he is good and sometimes where he is bad. So that's kind of what Jack Duquesne does. And so this is a guy named Swordsman, and it makes sense why he's all about the swords. Now, we don't really know who Eleanor is supposed to be. But he's portrayed by Tony Dalton, who has been just so far really great in the role. And I'm really excited to see where he goes forward from here. But Okay, yeah, so he is in Better Call Saul. So that's where I probably know him from before. He plays one of the Salamancas. But yeah, I mean, he has been really great, and I'm really excited to see, if maybe he has a history with Clint at all. Probably not, but I really feel like Clint at the end here, to my knowledge, didn't really get a good look at him, right? He's being held while Jack is around the corner at the wall holding up the sword at Clinton's neck, and Clinton is just kind of standing there with it at his neck in a doorway, and probably can't really look out his left, where we pause it. I don't think he saw him. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you didn't really get a good look at him, then maybe we start off the next episode with, hey, remember me? I don't think Jack is old enough to be a mentor for him really now, but maybe they had run-ins in the past where he had to take down the swordsman, or something like that. I think maybe he's taken down this underground crime ring before, that because they were doing the black market exchange in the auction. So maybe he's done something like that before where he's had to step in. Clint has, to kind of stop Jack or Armand, and maybe there's a tie there, but he doesn't, seem to jump at the mention of Jack at all before, or Armand. So again, that could be wrong. That could be wrong. So we'll see where that goes going forward. But ultimately, I think as we're starting to wrap up here this episode, ultimately, I thought this was a really fun episode. It's making me really look forward to episode 4. And then, it's crazy, right? Episode 4 is on the 8th of December. Episode 5 is going to be on the 15th. And then I have my tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home for the 17th. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's crazy. And then we'll have to do a Spider-Man breakdown that weekend, as well as a Hawkeye episode 5, and then episode 6 is going to be on the 22nd. So we got a lot coming up here. It's crazy to think that, by the time we see the next Hawkeye episode, we're only about 8 days away from Spider-Man No Way Home. So really insane. I think is this one of the first times that a show is overlapped with a movie? I think Loki was done by the time Black Widow came out. Well, I guess What If was going on when Shang-Chi came out. But one of the big live action shows at the same time. I think this might be it. I think this might be the first time with that, if I'm not remembering incorrectly. But Bert and Bertie are also directing the 4th and 5th episodes, while Rhys Thomas is coming back for the 6th episode. So they kind of split up who's directing these episodes. So next week we'll be talking about Bert and Bertie directing episode 4, and we'll see where we go from here. But yeah, we are already halfway done Hawkeye, and we're like we talked about, Echo's getting her own spin-off show on Disney Plus. We still haven't seen too much from her, so I'm thinking she's going to have a lot to do in these last 3 that made Disney and Marvel think we need a whole show dedicated to her. So I'm really excited to see, what they're going to show us for Echo that makes them say we need to give her a whole show. Because while she was good in this, she really was only focused in the beginning. I feel like near the end of it, we were kind of back to the Jack and Eleanor stuff. So I think we're going to see this stuff start to really tie together this week in episode 4 and really set up what are these last 3 episodes leading to here. And is it possible that we're getting another season of this? Because I think when people were looking at the Disney Plus listings of when the finale would be, it said season finale instead of series finale. And I know for sure WandaVision said series finale. So it'll be interesting if we're getting another season of Hawkeye. And if so, maybe Clint's not in it. Maybe we're going forward at that point of Hawkeye is Kate Bishop at that point, and she has her own show. There's lots you can do with this. It's really crazy because she's probably going to get the mantle here this year, because we really got to get Clint the retirement he deserves, and have him spend time with his kids. And we just got another thing here of they set up the 3 dates, right? The 3 things they want to do: gingerbread houses, the movie marathon, and I think the third thing is just Christmas Day. So we have, they've done the gingerbread houses. We just saw that he missed the movie marathon, and going forward here now, we have him. We have the timer of can he get back in Christmas time, and we're halfway through. It doesn't seem likely, but I hope he makes it back in time. Oh, I wanted to also mention before you leave that scene where he can't hear what his son is saying on the phone, and Kate is writing down what's going on. It was so heartbreaking. Like, it was, the kid understood. It's tough for a kid to understand, but he understands. My dad is a superhero. He's got to do these things, but. And the kid saying, I understand if you're not going to be home for Christmas. It's okay. And, that's his youngest kid. I think that Layla would probably be a little bit more upset if he can't make it back. She's kind of been the one really pushing for him to make it back. But seeing a kid understand that, okay, if my dad can't be back for Christmas, it's for a good reason, and that he is doing something that's going to help other people. And just the acting between both Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld was just really great in that scene, because we don't even really hear the kid's voice at all time. We're hearing what Clint's hearing, and we're just seeing what Kate is writing down. And it's very heartbreaking. And I'm just something I wanted from this, really shows how much his family means to him. And I know a lot of people were upset about the family thing in Age of Ultron, but I think it's really turned out to be a great thing for this Hawkeye character. It gave him real big motivation in Endgame, and it's giving him such great motivation in this show that puts a whole different spin on the character. In a quippy guy who you think is in love with Nat, and it's totally something built differently as we go forward in the Age of Ultron and the rest of the MCU. So really love the way that they've taken this character. I want to see him get the retirement he deserves, and I want to see him get back home for Christmas. But that's where we'll wrap up this episode of To the Infinity Saga and Beyond. If you want to give us a follow on Twitter, you can reach us at TO Infinity Saga. You can follow us on Facebook as well, which is facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond. Or you can email us marvelplusfreecaps@gmail.com. So next week, we're going to talk episode 4 of Hawkeye. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next time.